open to podcasting. Let's see.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Because you did Tess Garrison, and we reached out to her, and she was on our show too. That'll be coming out in December.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah, she's great.
she was very gracious and wonderful.
Yeah.
We've been very fortunate to get the people that we have. You write some psychological thrillers, police procedurals, detective. Do you think you need to approach those differently, or is it the same kind of formula?
I guess obviously I've got my style, which probably goes across the different genres. I mean, the mysteries, they're far more formulaic, I suppose. You've got to create a puzzle before you even think about a story. And my psychological thrillers are a different style. They're usually written in the first person. I think, especially if you've got a series, you've established a way of writing that series as well that readers expect. Yeah, I mean, the fact that I use each of them as a palette cleanser for the other, I think probably tells me that they are fairly different, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, what was your inspiration for The Perfect Lie? Was it based on a true story?
Yeah, a lot of the time for my psychological thrillers particularly, I like to think what if and kind of go from there, really. So that's where you get a lot of these hooks. What if you discover your husband was a serial killer? What if you framed for a murder you didn't commit? So they are literally the first things that come into my head. It's those kind of hooks. So I've never actually based anything on real life. So yeah, I'm not quite sure where these things come from. I think I must just be sick and twisted.
I'm curious, what authors inspire you?
I don't get too much time to read anymore, unfortunately. That's one of the downsides of being
I hear
so
that
busy.
on your podcast.
When I do read crime, it's for guests we've got coming up on there and things that I've discovered through the podcasts. I think in terms of style and pacing, I think one of the ones that's been probably most influential on my style is Peter James, who's a British author. He's huge here. He sold something like 30 million books. He used to be a film producer and used to write for films and movies. So he's kind of got this style, I suppose, where the chapters are pretty short. You dive between different viewpoints and each chapter is almost like a scene in a movie. And that, I think, has informed my writing style quite a lot. I quite like that. I've got a very short attention span. I get a lot of readers who write to me and say, I've got a short attention span. I don't normally read books, but, I stayed up all hours reading yours. You think just one more chapter. And yeah, that's the kind of thing that I aim for, really.
Well, definitely. That I work, so I read a lot of times during my lunch hour, and I could knock out quite a few of your chapters during my lunch. I hate when I'm reading and I have to stop in the middle of a chapter. So that was very satisfying with your books.
I could see The Perfect Lie as a movie. That been in the works or anything? That would be great.
Or a play, even.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I hope so. I've got an agency who I use for kind of film and TV rights and things, and they're speaking to people and putting things out there. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, that might happen at some point.
Well, definitely keep us informed on that, because we would, and hopefully it'll be available over here across the pond.
Well, I'll make sure of it.
Yes.
Now, do you have any upcoming books or events you'd like our listeners to know about?
No, I'm not writing my next fiction one yet. I'll get to that probably after Christmas. I also write some books for writers as well, for independent authors, to help them get along in what is becoming an even more difficult industry every day. I'm focusing on the next one of those at the moment. That should only take me another couple of weeks, and then it'll be on to the next fiction book, but I'm not entirely sure what that's going to be yet. So unfortunately, I can't give you an exclusive.
Well, whatever you put out, we will definitely devour, because we had never even heard of you before this podcast, and we are huge fans now.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Very kind.
And of Robert.
I won't tell him. His head will only swell.
Yeah. That is true. That is true. Well, thank you so much, Adam, for being with us today. And we wish you all the success and luck with your podcast and your book.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That was great.
That was good.
We thank Adam for taking time to talk with us and to share his wisdom. I really like this book, The Perfect Lie. It was an excellent read.
I also enjoyed it. And he may not agree with me, but I feel like we got to speak with podcast royalty today, because I so much enjoy Robert and Adams' banter and their wit. And I hope one day we can be half as good as they are.
I agree. We've got big shoes to fill.
Without hopefully stepping on their toes.
Right. That was an excellent segment.
Well, now on to our second interview.
Next, we have an interview with Tom Reilly, who writes as T. Reilly, and he is the author of the book GRAYSCALE.
T. Reilly says, I have been writing books since I was a kid. A bit of an outcast in high school, a film major in college, I have always been in search of a narrative. Even into adulthood, when career and other norms have taken precedent, my mind sifts through characters and plot lines. It is inescapable. The story follows me and at times even haunts me. I love all art as long as it is honest. I believe too much reminiscing is bad for the soul, but great for literature. And nothing is more powerful than the imagination. So that's what T. Reilly has to say about himself. His website is www.author-Reilly.com.
Hope you enjoy our interview and chat with Mr. Reilly. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, and let me just first start off by saying I love your podcast. I consider myself a podcast addict, and I listen to a lot, and there's a lot out there, and it's really tough to differentiate yourself. I think you guys do a great job with it.
Well, thank you very much. Before, I'm Ann Dark.
We are missing Tracy Stormy, but I'm Kathy Knight.
Tracy Stormy has laryngitis and sends her regrets, but we didn't want her sounding like a frog while we were talking to you. Tell us a little bit about Tom Reilly.
Well, I live in New Jersey, actually in Collingswood. I think I met one of you guys at the Collingswood Book Festival.
Yes,
right?
you did.
Thanks for coming to that. That was my first year exhibiting there, but I've been in Collingswood. I'm a South Jersey resident. Pretty much been writing my entire life, but this is the debut novel, as they say.
How did you get started writing?
It's a tough question to answer because I feel like I've always been doing it. I can go back to my teenage years. I was a pretty troubled teenager, and that was my way of escaping. And honestly, that probably kept me out of even more trouble than I could have been in. I've always been around books, love books, also have a real cinematic influence as well. I feel like film has influenced me almost as much as books have. In fact, 100 years ago or so, I was actually a film major in my undergrad in college. I went to Temple as a film major.
Oh, really? You can tell that when reading your book, you could visualize the scenes. So you did a very good job of picturing the places and the situations.
Some of the aspects of Grayscale locations are fictitious, but I really did bring a lot of it close to home. For those out there who don't know where Collingswood is, I am literally right over the bridge from Philadelphia, as we call it, Philly. So at least the first half of the book and end is set right in Philly.
Well, we love Collingswood. It was our first trip there, and we want to come back when there's not a book festival, just poke around the town. It was a great little town.
Yes, definitely.
It is great. Not only is it cool with the shops and restaurants, but the community's pretty unique too. It's a very warm, welcoming, and tolerant community.
Yeah.
That's great. Why don't you tell us about Grayscale?
Sure. It's what I would call a modern Gothic mystery. Almost has a ghost story feel to it.
Yes.
It's about an artist who's reclusive. He's been successful with 2 graphic novels that he wrote, but he wrote them under a pseudonym. In a sense, he's a ghost himself and really only interacts through his agent and with his old college friend. The whole mystery sets off when he agrees to do this anonymous collaboration with a popular novelist to do sort of illustrated version of a true crime story.
Oh, okay.
I tried to fill the book with a lot of symbolism and ambiguity. So the symbolism sort of drives you through the story, and that ambiguity is there so that hopefully people can walk away with their own interpretation. I think some will walk away thinking they've read a supernatural mystery and others perhaps something quite different.
Yeah, you combine fantasy and paranormal and mystery all into the book, but how do you keep that all straight? Do you use an outline or do you develop each part of the story as it goes along?
That story I've actually been working on for longer than I care to admit. It's evolved a lot. It actually initially was written from Allison's perspective, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
I just didn't think it worked, and I didn't think I could do it justice as a male author. And so I switched it up, and I'm happy I did. I think it works out better that way. The symbolism made it complicated, and at times has struggled for me a little bit, because honestly, the way I write, I'm more interested in character development and building places as a character. And I'm the sort of person who goes to a coffee house just to people watch. I just create characters that sit on a shelf and maybe one day go into a short story or a novel. So to not be able to focus on that at times was a struggle. And I did have to create an outline to make sure that I was doing justice to that symbolism, that it was there for a reason and it was consistent through the story. And at the same time, I could kind of put it aside and make sure I was being true to those characters.
I see.
So is the case of the missing professor based on an actual case?
No.
Okay.
You made that all up.
Fiction that I know of.
Will there be another book? And will Quentin be in it?
Yes, so I'm exploring a few things. I mean, I definitely wanted to walk away for a little while, and I'm going back to what I've always been most comfortable with, and that's writing short stories. And so on my website, I put a lot up there, and through a website called Writer's Sky. There are some things that I definitely want to do with it. There may perhaps be a prequel to it. I don't think I have a continuation, but I think there's perhaps a prequel there that I've been playing around with. And I'm actually now looking at partnering with an artist, so I'm hoping to find one and perhaps bring those two graphic novels in the story to life, because they are so important to the story itself. I thought maybe to have them come out as graphic novels as well would be interesting.
Oh, that would be fun.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and I have not found that right artist yet. So if any of your listeners out there, if you are an artist,
we will put your website and your email on our show notes.
Hopefully.
People can get in touch with you if they're interested.
that would be great.
The Grayscale was self-published, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, can you tell us about that process? We really don't know a whole lot about self-publishing.
We were talking earlier before we started the show that technology is a wonderful thing, and that's one place where it's been great for art. Technology has democratized everything from writing to music to film. Pretty much anyone who has a vision and can pull something together can get it out there. And it's exciting because once upon a time, there was a lot of talent out there that never got discovered. Right? As far as self-publishing goes, I went through Amazon. It's a really easy self-publishing program, and once you create it, and I both have it in print, so it's print on demand, and then I have an ebook as well, so it goes right into their catalog. That's the easy part. And the challenge becomes, if you don't have a publisher behind you, then you become everything soup to nuts. So now you just can't write, you have to be a promoter too.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, hopefully we can help you out with that a little bit. Get the word out.
A little bit.
I appreciate it.
Get people to know you're out there. It's a big world out there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I also have to say, one of the other elements, as you know, you interview a lot of writers. A writer's only as good as their editor. When you self-publish, you don't have the benefit of that person from the publisher. My wife is an English teacher. She has a master's in English, and she is the gatekeeper to all things grammatical. She was a huge help.
Well, I will say, I've read a lot of self-published books that they really needed an editor. And yours, I didn't see any flaws in that department anyway, but I really enjoyed it. I really liked the whole premise of the book was very engaging. I found it very compelling.
I guess it comes in handy having an English major in your back pocket to help you out with your book.
Yeah, absolutely. She was phenomenal.
Well, kudos to her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have any authors that inspire you, or what authors do you read on a regular basis?
A ton. Yeah, Joyce Carol Oates is one. I have to give a shout out to those Jersey writers. She's a Princeton professor. I don't know if you've ever read her stuff before. Of course, growing up, Arthur Conan Doyle was important to me. Edgar Allan Poe as well.
Oh, yes. I could see a little Poe in your story.
Well, I give a nod to him in one of the chapters.
Yes, you do.
Marisha Pessl is another one that I find to be interesting. I'm trying to think of authors that perhaps are similar to my work. And I don't know if you've ever read her book, Night Film, but she's definitely someone who's influenced from a cinematic perspective as well. Her story is driven a lot by film.
I will check that out. Night Film, you say?
Night Film, yeah. Yeah, it came out, I want to say maybe 7 or 8 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But really, really good book. And then from a film perspective, Alfred Hitchcock, of course.
Of course.
Jim Wells.
Well, we wish you all the luck in the world with your book, and we thank you for taking time to talk with us, and we will